Zhang is an arrogant prick, but I love it. I love it, you know what I mean? Arrogance amongst fighters who are prepared to take on all comers is alright with me. 'Cause it's alright with me. Look, Zhang is fighting the best fights he can for the best money he can. And while he's doing that, you can be as arrogant as you want. It's great entertainment when fighters are arrogant, as long as they're fighting top draw fights. It's all good. The moment you cease to do that, then it's not so good. You see the little move when he leaned slightly to the left to look at Joe's eye and ask him about the condition of his eye? You arrogant prick. What do you do that for? I tell you what, you don't speak English, so we can't get the full gist of his character, but he's a funny dude. And then he cracked on Tyson Fury about VADA testing.
I want to get July's thoughts on Tyson Fury's comments. He said that Zhilei Zhang will win this fight against Joe Joyce. However, he invited Joe Joyce to come up to his camp, and he said that if Joe had accepted that invitation, he would have shown him how to beat Zhilei, and his words were, chop him down like an oak tree. But now, because Joe didn't come, he believes Zhang will win. So his thoughts on Tyson's comments.
我感觉是一个好办法，但是乔伊斯没有这样做。
I think Joe Joyce made a smart and good decision for not going there because we're doing VADA test.
Okay. What's the accusation there then, just to lay it out?
I think he's saying he's a drug cheat. That's what he's saying.
最严厉的要件。
We don't know, but I just have to put the message out there. We're doing very strict VADA testing.
Shots fired. I mean, let's keep it real. If Zhang weren't there, what does Joe Joyce bring to the press conference? If you're into that sort of thing, it's not really that important to me. But if you get an entertaining guy like Zhang in a press conference, it's good. Like, Tyson Fury has said a few funny things.
Listen, I don't know the answer to all your questions, but the one thing I do know the answer for is this clit is getting licked on October the 24th.
He peaked right there with that one, right? I cracked up.
Boom.
But watching him trying to carry the Ngannou press conference was, what is that exactly? He's whack. He's not entertaining.
Let's just make one thing clear. Over the last couple of days, people on behalf of Boxer, and therefore on behalf of Sky, have been approaching Chris Eubank Jr. and trying to weasel into Conor Benn's network to make them offers to do the fight in December.
Yo, Ben, I hope Eddie ain't got receipts on that. So he's went behind Eddie's back with the Fabio Wardley situation. Fabio confirmed it. And with Richard Riakporhe Jai Opetaia. Both fights, Ben Shalom pulled his fighter out of the purse bids on the day of the fight. I don't know what's going on now. And Opetaia's people went straight to Eddie and told him what was going on. You know, Eddie made a huge offer. I don't know what the offer was to Adam Azim to make the Dalton Smith fight for the British and Commonwealth title. Adam Azim is talking about, oh, when we become world champions, it'll be a good fight. Well, when is that going to be? He said he's fighting for the European title against someone no one's never heard of. And this is why we're in a slump period in British boxing. It would be better if Sky just got out right now. At this period here, I think they're just trolling. I think it's just because the stupidity of the things they're doing now. This ain't no serious attempt at making fights. If it is true, it's a bit of a hypocrisy as well. He's been slating Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn ever since Conor got popped. And now you're going behind people's back to try and make the fight. This is crazy. I wonder what Callie's got to say.
Desperation. Like, you know, we got a contract with Conor Benn. We've been with Conor Benn since day one. And we've been through a lot together now. And he's going for people within their organisation or acting on their behalf, trying to make that fight. I have a great relationship with Callum Sauerland, have done for a long time. As you say, Chris has got a contract with Wasserman Boxing. We'll work as hard as we can to make that fight happen.
Conor Benn said, who said there hasn't been offers made? Talking about these underhanded tactics that Ben Shalom allegedly is using when asked about the potential of Boxer/Sky Sports for Ben to fight on their platform, and in particular a fight with Eubank Jr. But he says his loyalty is with Eddie, DAZN, Matchroom. You can't teach that. They've stuck by him for his ordeal, trying to clear his name with his PED revelation. And he said if he was offered twice the amount for the Eubank fight, he still wouldn't bail on Matchroom. Yeah, Eddie's been loyal because you're a bankable commodity. So Anthony Yarde, he's been out the ring about 8 months. Ricky Summers pulled out because it's rumoured that he's going to fight boxers Ben Whitaker. Okay, I can understand Frank Warren wanting Yard to have a run out, but Jorge Silva? Like, at least 13 of his opponents have had losing records, and a few of them have had 2 free fights where they may have won 3 and lost 2. A few debutantes. He was stopped, let's say 7 years ago, by a Lalenga mock. Some of you old enough will remember Lalenga. And then he knocked out David Hay years back. This guy fought him 7 years back, and he was ancient then. Should they have just pulled Anthony Yard's fight if this is the best they can get? You got Zach Parker. Zach Parker actually called out Anthony Yard. Hopefully Frank Warren is going to make that fight. Zach says he's a big super middleweight. He wouldn't hesitate to take the fight. But you have to give them a pass. They're both coming off losses. Yard is 32. He's not a kid. Zach Parker is 29. Joe Joyce, 281. Zhilei Zhang, 287. Career highest weights for both men. Now, we've been hearing for a little while that Joyce was going to bulk up. They seem to be putting it down to the weight why he lost. So the solution is to put on 25 pounds. What's that, roughly 2 stones? So he's around 20 stone. Zhang, he won the fight. Why is he coming in heavier? You know, we can understand Joyce, Team Joyce, perhaps making misguided rationalizations why they lost. Yeah, they came in too heavy. But why is Zhang coming in heavy? Is he anticipating a more physical fight? I mean, he doesn't have the greatest gas tank anyway. I'm sure the bulk isn't going to assist that. He came in 256 for the Jerry Forrest fight, which was a draw, and he looked awful in the second half of the fight. I don't get the weight thing with Joyce. The minimum you can come in at heavyweight is 200 pounds. Joyce is never going to come in at 200 pounds. So he can basically weigh in whatever he wants. They weighed in at 18 stone because that was the optimum weight they thought was best for this fight. They can't say they felt drained at 18 stone because they wasn't pressured to cut a lot of weight like the rest of the weight classes outside heavyweight. He wasn't under that pressure. He was basically able to weigh in whatever he wanted. He can't say that weighing in at 18 stone he felt drained. How did he feel drained? And some of the people defending it are acting like 18 stone is a small heavy. It's not a small heavy at all. Maybe I watched a different fight. I didn't see Zhang physically manhandling Joyce in the clinches. I saw him landing the backhand repeatedly. That's what I saw. It was a technical issue, not a weight issue from what I saw. But then again, it was Joyce in the ring. Let's see what the bulk does for both of them. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a slop fest where both of them gas out, start mauling each other, throwing slow-ass, sloppy-looking punches. It's more a modern-day thing, though, in boxing. Every time there's a loss, either a trainer gets changed, or in the heavyweight division, I was too light, and I was this, I was that. And there is an over-analysis when boxers lose in modern-day boxing. You'd be better off keeping it simple sometimes rather than these ridiculous theories that don't really hold any weight. Let's keep it real. You're making a 25-pound weight increase. Why? Because you lost the fight. And you've got to find some reason, rather than you were beaten by the better man, to explain the loss. He's never had weight fluctuations like that when he was winning. But what are the facts? What are the facts? This was the first big heavyweight, an Olympian, same size as Joe. Zhang's reach is not listed, but I'm assuming it's one of the longer reaches that Joe has had to face as a pro. That's what happened to Joe. And he's a southpaw to boot, with power. You know, the likes of Brian Jennings is very skilled, and I thought he beat Joe. The likes of Carlos Takam is skilled. But him and Jennings, they're not huge punchers. They're not huge heavyweights. Zhang happened to be a big heavyweight with a skill set. Took a decent shot. That's what happened to Joe Joyce. You've got a Cuban coach, Ismael Chalas, which would suggest that defense would be a priority. But in the Carlos Takam fight, he was getting lit up. In the Christian Hammer fight, he was getting lit up. Even Joseph Parker landed his fair share of shots. Brian Jennings was lighting him up. Bermain Stavern was lighting him up. The Beat's opinion is, if you're 38 and talking about you need to learn to move your head, it's probably a little late. You're not going to turn into Pernell Whitaker or Mike Tyson. Like, maybe for a round or two he'll move his head and he'll abandon it. You see, the likes of Mike Tyson in his prime had head movement drilled in to his DNA from a little kid. He was taught a technique from his mentor that his mentor was using in the 50s and 60s to train boxers. You know, Mayweather His dad was teaching him how to move his head when his mum was cradling Floyd in her arms. James Toney was practicing that Philly show in the tough gyms of Detroit for years. You can't just learn these skills in one training camp. The prognosis is looking bleak. It looks like Joe was planning to use the bulk to overwhelm Zhang, but Zhang is heavier than him. So maybe Zhang is thinking, I'm going to do the same. Only thing is, he's not only going to do that, he has the counter-punching advantage over Joe, which beat Joe last time. I've got Zhang winning. The only doubt I have is why Zhang would come in heavier than last time when he won the fight handily, even if he did fatigue a little down the stretch.
Wasn't really paying attention, to be honest.
But look, everyone was saying in the first fight, he was too light. He needs to come in heavier. You've come in almost like 30 pounds heavier. Is this something you've done on purpose?
Yeah, I've took constructive criticism.
That's a meme, by the way. We're doing that.
Yeah.
Sounded like he was about to say he's took concussive punches, but he said he's took constructive criticism. Let's see if he can put it into practice tomorrow. This is the only gig in town in Britain right now. It's Joyce versus Zhang. Where are the other fights to look forward to?